Thank you, Unity Band. Well, good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum, and we are live streaming to you this morning from Unity's campus down on Washington Road. Here at Unity, our mission is to spiritually awaken to our oneness with God, each other, and all creation. And this comes from our vision of seeing a world powerfully transformed through a growing movement of a shared spiritual awakening. And we say shared because we understand it, that it's not like there's a right answer that you have to get. It's about simply honoring ourselves and each other, whatever path we are on and wherever we are on that path. So let us just take a moment to set the tone for today's service with an ecumenical prayer. The enlightenment of the Buddha shines within us. The compassion of the Christ moves through us. The power of Jehovah strengthens and guards us. The presence of Allah surrounds us and guides us. Wherever we are, the Tao is, and all is God. Wow. Another week down, another incredible series of events. The pandemic seems to be dancing around the globe, and we certainly hold all the people in India in our hearts, as well as in South America, where they're being hit exceptionally hard. I am pleased to tell you that the debris from the Chinese rocket fell safely into the Indian Ocean. I thought we might have to do the service this morning from the basement downstairs if we didn't know where it was coming yet. You know, this big rocket piece coming down somewhere on our planet. And of course, today is Mother's Day, and there's been some mother's news in the headlines this week. Over in Portugal, they found a mummy that was pregnant. It's the first time they've ever found a pregnant mummy, so that's pretty interesting. They don't know why, because usually they eviscerate mummies before they wrap them up. So the mummy was still intact with the fetus. And on Friday in Morocco, a woman gave birth to, Casey, you'll love this, nanuplets, which is 9 babies. I can't even imagine what she looked like. God bless her. That's a litter, 9. Yeah, no kidding. It's like the geese out back here. And it's National Nurses Week. And though nurses come in both genders, all genders, just really, boy, is that the epitome of mothering. They are just such selfless caregivers and so important to us all the time, but especially this last year. So my mother quote for the week is, keep Zen and try again. Yeah, keep Zen and try again. None of us are on established pathways that are going through this whole massive change within our world. So knowing that there is a lot of life going on, we just take all of our neighbors in prayer this morning, be they close, be they far, be they ones we know, be ones that we don't know and have never seen. We pray with understanding and compassion, our hearts opening to know that divine light ultimately always shines, even in the darkest moments. We bless our medical community, our essential workers, all who are devoted to serving others in times of need. We bless those in grief, whatever their loss, knowing that God is their strength. We lift our shared gaze to remember our humanity, our unity. We are centered in God's divine presence within us, knowing that the truth for each person on this planet is the divine wholeness. That each person is guided by a wisdom arising in love as we collectively act in ways of kindness to foster peace and wholeness for all. And so it is. Amen. We just continue in that prayer mode as we hold a blessing for Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing, which is you and I. So as we accept this prayer, we pray and accept at the same time. Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing embraces its journey of spiritual growth. We bless our times of wandering and wondering. We give thanks that each path that ended led us to draw our attention to a new path with greater possibilities, greater potential. We are right now living this greater expression of love. We are a force for good in our neighborhood, this planet Earth, as well as in our own lives. We are receptive to the handprint of God, guiding us to a greater understanding, to fields of unlimited possibilities, to new opportunities to be a meaningful light shining in our world. And so it is. Allah, Shalom, Amen, Namaste. Now, at this time of the service, we usually acknowledge each other. So I'm going to say, hi, how are you? Morning, guys, and a little namaste, a little elbow bump, and or just send energy. And those of you out there, I can feel it, so just rub the hands together and send the love, share the love, feel it right back at you as we learn to connect in meaningful but different ways. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Casey, who's going to bring us the daily word for today. And I bet since it's Mother's Day, it has something to do with mothers. How appropriate for you.
All right, today's daily word is motherly love. Inspired by the prophet Isaiah, who wrote, "As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you." God's perfect love, expressing through mothers, gave each of us life. God's love, wisdom, and strength guided her and all those who nurtured us as we grew. Our words of praise and gratitude let us show those who nurtured us how much we appreciate their investment in us. When we wish to demonstrate our appreciation, we share the nurturing motherly love of God is our words and actions with all people. Remembering the times when our mother or another compassionate person listened patiently and shared encouraging words, we seek to be a caring, supportive presence. Recalling a mother's joy each time we learn something new, we share our skills and knowledge willingly when someone seeks our help. In gratitude, we share the gift of nurturing love. Let us affirm, I give thanks for motherly love. For the month of May, we are focusing on our core value and our daily practice of prayer. Prayer is a powerful tool available to each of us to co-create the lives our hearts desire. It brings us into alignment with the nurturing, compassionate essence of God within us. It strengthens our resolve and lifts us above apparent circumstances to a greater understanding and a more effective course of action. Prayer can never be used up. It can never be worn out. We celebrate the magnifying power of prayer that comes when we consciously join together in prayer. Day by day, prayer is our spiritual practice, raising us above our challenges into unifying solutions. We acknowledge, celebrate, and practice the transformative power of prayer. We acknowledge, celebrate, and practice the transformative power of prayer. Today we are coming to you live streaming from our new sanctuary on Washington Road. While the building is still closed to in-person meetings, we continue to offer online classes on Zoom. Mondays at 1:30, we have a Course of Love with Lucille Olson. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. is our prayer circle with Peggy Higginbotham. Thursdays at 7 is A Course in Miracles with Dan and Carol Maynard. As activities away from home increase, our 11 a.m. casual conversations has come to a close. But if anyone would like to start another Zoom group, just contact Reverend Sharon. One ministry team that is still very active is our prayer team. If you have prayer requests, you can make them on our website, email the church office, or make a request at our Wednesday night prayer service. For the past several months, we have been holding a town hall on the third Sunday of the month to update you on the status of our new campus. This month, the town hall will be held on the fourth Sunday, May 23rd at 2 o'clock. We are hoping to have some promising information on a date to open our Sunday services to include in-person options. And now I'd like to invite our special soloist of this week, our very own Jeff English.
Here we go. Mama, a rainbow. Mama, a sunrise. Mama, the moon to wear. That's not good enough. No, not good enough. not for Mama. Mama, a palace, diamonds like doorknobs, mountains of gold to spare. That's not rich enough. No, not rich enough. Not for Mama. Mama, a lifetime crowded with laughter. That's not long enough, not half long enough. What can I give you that I can give you? What will your present be? Mama, young and beautiful, always young and beautiful. That's the Mama I'll always see. That's for Mama, with love from me.
Thank you, Jeff. What a beautiful tribute for Mama. I just brought tears to my eyes. Yeah. Oh, so, yes. Well, lighten things up a little bit. We were watching a lot of Mama stuff going on around here this morning because the geese were all out with their goslings, and I know the red fox is over there with its 4 pups, and it was just kind of wonderful to watch. But I did want to share a little Mother's Day story with you. I have permission to share the story, but not the name, and by the time you hear the story, you'll understand why. So a friend of mine had a couple little kids. This happened a couple years ago, and her one little son, Eli, loved to use her chapstick. He was always saying, Mama, can I use your chapstick? Mama, can I use your chapstick? So one day she said to him, okay, Eli, come here. Here's where I keep my chapstick. Anytime you want to use it, you can just go there and get the chapstick as long as you put it back. So he was thrilled. He had freedom of chapstick now. So it happened on Mother's Day, and they were rushing to get to church, and she couldn't find Eli. And so finally she found him in the bathroom with the chapstick, carefully, very carefully, putting it on the cat's butt. Now, if any of you have a cat, you'll know their butt looks a little bit chapped, right? And she thought, is this the first time he's ever done this? But she didn't really want to know, so she didn't. Don't ask what you don't want to know, right? And it's just a reminder that no matter how experienced we are, how enlightened we are, there are days that you're going to find out that your son has been using your chapstick on a cat's butt. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope you enjoy that for this morning. So, and because of those days when you find out about your chapstick, that's why we have spiritual toolboxes, things that we can rely on when the world takes a really unexpected turn. So the toolbox is kind of that concept, metaphysically concept of there's only one power, one presence, that whatever we want to call it. And within that are these myriad ways of connecting and experiencing that more fully. We talked about gratitude, raising that vibrational appreciation for the good in our life. Imagination, where we can co-create something new. Kindness, that wonderful triple blessing where it blesses us, it blesses the other person, and the very planning of it de-stresses us. Ecology, our whole system of interrelationships. We're all in an ecosystem on so many levels, with people and with nature and just the whole thing. Then we talked about trust and faith. Do we really trust the universe enough? Do we trust God enough? Have enough faith in the process to really let things go and allow things to evolve? And last week we talked about release and forgiveness. to really, sometimes it's just time to let it go. So I hope you had a week without any albatrosses around your neck, that you just had total freedom to go and explore and do your thing. So today I want to talk to you, I'm going to start out with a symbol from Taoism, which you've probably seen before. This is called Yin and Yang. And I love this symbol because this is another way of expressing oneness. So it's not that the world is black and white. We live in a relative world and everything is compared to something else in it. But within the black is the white and within the white is the black. So there isn't, though it may appear to have things separate, it really never is. There is always this intermingling because it is all one. And then that takes me to, I guess you call it physics, Newton's third law. So there's this oneness, there is this universe. But we know that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Action, reaction. So it seems like it's opposite, but remember, we are in the relative world, so we do things in relationship to each other. If it goes, left is opposite of right. But in truth, in the absolute sense, it's really all one, that movement of the world, of our universe, of life, if you will. Which brings me to the tool for this week. In my toolbox, here we go. The tool of giving and receiving. And so we have this pair of hands here with some wonderful little trinkets in here. And as you look at these hands, is this a pair of hands that are giving, or is it a pair of hands that are receiving? Looks the same, doesn't it? We don't know. But it's a great reminder that giving and receiving is actually the same act, that both must occur for either of them to occur. There must be a giving, there must be a receiving. So I'm going to put this up here with my other tools. Deepak Chopra wrote, "The universe operates through dynamic exchange." A dynamic exchange. There's giving and receiving, different aspects of the flow, the ultimate flow of the universe. And he said, in our willingness to give that which we seek, our willingness to give the very thing we're looking for in our lives, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. We become part of the flow as opposed to a dam or a diversion. We actually stand into that flow. And if you think about it, the world is in a constant state of flow, a constant state of circulation. I loved, as a kid, I just loved the water cycle. I still like the water cycle. It just amazes me that this element exists in all three states, that it can be solid, liquid, and gaseous. And we know that it rains, it goes into the pond, it evaporates back up into the air to become rain, and it keeps going through that cycle. Our breath, our very breath, we breathe in. You can't just keep breathing in, you need to breathe out too. And you can't just keep breathing out. You need to breathe in, breathe out. This wonderful cycle of exchange, if you will. And then the seasons, every year they change. And every year I'm still amazed when spring comes. I'm still amazed when summer comes. When the fall comes, I'm oohs and ahs. And with the first snowfall, I'm again in glory, maybe not by the fifth or sixth snowfall, but that first one just always still brings me joy. And then spring comes again. So there's this constant flow, this constant change, and it's all interrelated. This is all part of our deeper understanding of oneness. So this morning I'd like to say, how do you feel about giving? I mean, sometimes when we think about giving, we think we're going to have less. We have a sense of lack. Sometimes we give because it's a social obligation. I've been invited to this birthday party. I need to get a gift to give. It's kind of out of duty. And sometimes you give because you just don't know how to say no. There was a time that anytime I got something in the mail from a charity asking for a donation, I would send them a check even for $5. I would always respond to it. And then, of course, when you do that, you get on everybody's mailing list. And that giving was out of duty. It wasn't out of a conscious joy of wanting to give and share. Because the other part of giving is when we really think of it as being fun, when you get to do something joyful. I don't care if it's somebody standing on a street corner that's asking for help, and then you're able to give them a cup of coffee or a sandwich or whatever, or surprising somebody with something they didn't even ask for verbally. There's a fun aspect to giving. And when you do give from that kind of joy, you just really feel in the flow. There's no worry about lack. There's no worry about shortage, there's just real sense of being at ease with the movement, the vibration of the universe. When we give, it's loaded with good feelings about ourselves. We can really just, it's almost a chest puffer, right? Oh, I did such a good thing today. And it just, you feel kind of warm inside. And when the act of giving is joyful, unconditional, when it comes from the heart, the energy, you can feel it just, I say chest puffer, it increases. The energy increases when you do that good deed, that kind deed, that sense of heartfelt sharing. But when we do it grudgingly, when we do it because we have to, there's absolutely no energy at all. And it creates like a void, a black hole. And there actually is a loss. We have blocked the intention of the universe to be in that flow. I think Jesus might have been a physicist because he said, as you give, so you receive. Like Newton, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. As you give, so shall you receive. And that has so many meanings to it. The intention of how we give, of how we share, of ourself and other things. When we give to get, what we are establishing in our mind is a debt consciousness. That person's going to owe me. If I do this for them, they're going to owe me a favor, right? And so you're in a debt consciousness, which, boy, it could be other people owing you or you owing other people, because debt doesn't know ownership. It's just that vibration. Sometimes when we do that giving out of guilt, if you see that person on the corner asking for money for coffee or for help, whatever, and you're in this warm car and they're freezing or whatever, and you feel guilty about your good and you give, what happens when we give out of guilt is we start developing kind of a shame consciousness. We're ashamed of our good. That is not a great vibration to be in. We really want to get straight about that. And unless you enjoy being in that place, I don't want to make any judgments on this. And then giving out of duty. I have to do this. I have to go to my cousin's wedding. I have to give a gift that's at least X number of dollars. This is my duty. And when we start giving out of that kind of consciousness, it's almost a consciousness of imprisonment. That we have duties that we can't escape from, that we find no joy in. It's just a very detrimental, energy depleting place to be. And then there are those times that we give because it's our nature. It just is the most natural thing to do, like taking a breath, like taking a drink of water, like saying hello to someone. It's just a natural flow. And when we do that, we really feel that difference. It's not that when we do the prayer for Unity Spiritual Center, and I say that's all of us, we give out this prayer at the same time we're receiving this prayer. There's a sense of oneness. And when we give out of joy, it's not anything that we lose, it's something that we gain. It's just an amazing, amazing process. Which gets me to the other side of those open hands. How do you feel about receiving? That's, most people feel really good about giving, not so good about receiving. Yeah, it's kind of a loaded word too. If I receive something, if I accept something, does that mean that they perceive me as being in lack? Or maybe I'm a failure because I didn't do that for myself? When we understand the oneness, that actually even receiving is a great gift we give the person that's giving whatever it is they're giving to us. If we can shift our experience of it to really see that as God showing us some love. That the universe is supplying what we might need in that moment, even if we don't know what we need. Sometimes there are needs that we're not even aware of yet. And then at the right and perfect time, you have this, this idea of welcoming the good that flows into our life. We don't need to feel guilty about it. We don't need to feel less than about it. We should be joy-filled. This is a celebration of us, from the little tiny thing to the great, great surprise, whatever that might be. So if you think about it, the universe is in this dynamic exchange. Every relationship really is a give and take, because giving and receiving are just different aspects of the flow of the energy in the universe. It has to happen. It can't keep raining all the time without evaporation happening, right? We can't keep, as I said, breathing in without also breathing out. And when we stop the flow of energy, when we either stop giving or stop receiving, we're kind of trying to mess with the intelligence of the universe, because this is the natural way that things go. And if we are looking for something different in our life, we find the best way, I don't know, quickest is the right word, but the way to pave the path for achieving what it is we want in our life is to hone our skills on how to give that very thing, because then we set ourselves up into that vibration, that consciousness of happiness, of peace. By helping others, we also help ourselves to achieve the very thing that we are seeking. And there's that old, probably one of the oldest truths that I know of about as above, so below, that this giving and receiving process happens on all levels. And if you go to the Mideast, there's the Dead Sea. The Jordan River flows into the Dead Sea. And the interesting thing about the Dead Sea is there's an inlet, the Jordan River, but it has no outlet. And because it has no outlet, it keeps diminishing. Now, something in your head is going, how can that be? If you have an inlet and no outlet, it should just be getting bigger and bigger. But in truth, it evaporates, it gets saltier and saltier, even though it's fresh water flowing into it, and the level diminishes. That shows you what I mean when I'm talking about the flow, the circulation of the universe, the giving and receiving, how it's one act, and both parts are very important to keep things in balance. Now, often when we talk about giving and receiving, we think about money because it's measurable, and we do a lot of exchange with money. And it's really interesting that money is referred to as currency, because currency is Latin that means to run or to flow. And we know that money is simply a symbol of our energy. We do our energy doing whatever work it is that we do, and as a symbol of that energy, we get something back that we can exchange for something else that we want in our life. Circulation is what keeps the symbol of money alive, allowing it to flow. And we've seen times economically when there has been a fear about lack, and there have been runs on the bank. It stopped the circulation of money, and everybody wanted to take their own out, and the banks had to close down. Or I think during COVID, we got into a toilet paper shortage so quickly. Not because there was a shortage, but because everybody thought shortage and wanted to hoard. They didn't want to go circulation. I guess there's a lot of meaning for circulation and toilet paper. All that. But there were a lot of shortages that showed up. I said not because there was actually a shortage, but because we stopped the flow. We became hoarders of something, thinking that the universe was in short supply. Same thing I hear is happening in India. They're short on oxygen, but part of that is because people are concerned for their own well-being, so they are actually in their homes buying oxygen tanks and keeping them there, as opposed to the hospitals. And so it stops that flow of allowing it to go where it is needed, with that surety that when you need it, it can show up for you. So we can all be dead seas. And sometimes, I don't know, if I was in that situation, would I hoard oxygen? I don't know, but I do know the very act of it, this idea of thinking of the universe not willing to support me, that there won't be a channel when I'm in need, or maybe I won't even have a need. I don't need to plan for all the possibilities. The law of giving and receiving is simple. If you want love, learn to love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent. It's amazing how that works. Part of our logic mind goes, that thinks about shortage in the universe says, no, I have to keep it all for me. But when you help others become whatever it is you desire, you do create that consciousness. You create that receptivity to be the very thing that you're wanting in your life. If you want to be blessed with good things in life, great trick, just silently bless everyone you see. Bless everyone you see. People you know, people you don't know. Bless the Canadian geese that are walking out back. And, the law of the universe is the more you give, the more that you receive. The more you give in that consciousness of being in the flow, not because you have to, not because it's a duty, not because you're forced to, but because you stand right there firmly in the flow of life. You are a part of it, not separate from it, not fighting it, not a dam to the flow, but an open channel to the flow. It's in your willingness to give what you seek that you keep the abundance of the universe circulating your life. Your willingness to give the very thing you seek. And I go back to one of my very early days in Unity, and I was in a class, and I was taking some classes at the university. I'd gone back to school in my 40s, and I needed to pay my tuition by the next day. It was Friday, and this was a Thursday night class, and as I did my, so I really needed some money to pay this tuition. I just didn't have it to pay. And as I was giving the love offering in class that night, I thought, I'm just going to put everything in my wallet, because I was nowhere near what I needed for tuition. I needed like $500, and I think I had $30. So I put all $30 in the love offering envelope and sent it off. And just let it go. And honest to God, the next morning in my mailbox, there was a check from an insurance company with no paperwork, and it was for $1,200, more than met my expenses. Would that have happened anyway? I don't know. But I do know that when I was agreed to stand in the flow and to be willing to give the very thing that I sought, the ability for me to take classes, to get back into the workforce, I received the resources I need to support me in doing those things that I needed to do. Jesus, in many of his lessons, talked a lot about giving and receiving. And one of the quotes is, had bothered me for quite a long time, and maybe you've read it and kind of glossed over it because you go, shoot, that doesn't make any sense. And he said, for everyone who has, more will be given, and he'll have abundance. And for those that don't have, it'll be taken away, even that which they have. And you go, oh yeah, that's the story. The rich people always get more. The poor people, they always, end up having to pay more and more, and they get poorer and poorer. But if you go to the story before this, it's a story of the parable of the talons. And the story of the talons is a man goes away and he gives some of his wealth to his workers. And those that took what they were given and worked with it had more. One of the workers was afraid he would lose everything, so he just hid it and did nothing with it. And so when the owner came back, he took those talents from him. He said, you did nothing, you should at least put it in the bank. And so it is with us. We each have been given gifts. Maybe it's the gift of being friendly. Maybe it's the gift of playing music. Maybe it's the gift of being able to read to somebody. I don't know what your gift is, but I do know that we've been given these gifts, and if we use them, it expands. And as it expands, we get to use more, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful cycle of flow, where if we say, I'm afraid I'm going to use it up, I might use up my ability to play piano. I might use up my ability to read. Well, that is silly. But that's that lack consciousness that we can get sucked into about not having enough. Hoarding is like damming the flow. It just totally stops it. One of the things I found as I was working on it, I came across this, and I may have mentioned it once before, and it's an organization, and I don't even want to say organization, it's an idea that has come up called Buy Nothing groups, and it's based on a gift economy. And they basically, it's you give where you live, and so it's local Facebook groups, and if they have something they don't want anymore, they just put it up there and say, I have a lawnmower I don't need, and whoever wants it gets it. And one of the people that was in the group said, up to that point in time when they got into this Buy Nothing group, they'd have a few things to get rid of it. Oh, we'll have a garage sale. And they really noticed that when they had a garage sale, they were really getting into a lack consciousness, because you're going for a quarter here, a couple dollars there, maybe $50 for this, but you start thinking about lack. And of course, you can do the quick easy thing and drop it off at Goodwill or volunteers or whatever. But when they got into the gift economy, they got into this Buy Nothing group, they got to meet people and form relationships with who was getting their things, whatever those things were. And they got to hear their stories, what they were doing with it. And there was a richness in that kind of giving that far exceeded anything they'd ever experienced with releasing things that were no longer blessing them. Now, the groups they have found as they got into this, they're a little bit imperfect, but they keep doing it anyway, they keep tweaking it. Some of the imperfection was if you only buy where you live, that kind of propagates the redlining of neighborhoods, or where we have white neighborhoods and black neighborhoods. So they're working through that and just going forward as best they can, trying to take down the structures, anything that would make it more inclusive. So I love that the whole concept of the people that began this way of thinking allow themselves to be vulnerable and say, we're imperfect, but it's not about waiting till we're perfect to do it. It's about doing it and keep perfecting it and changing it along the way. So this morning, I'm going to add, and by the way, I did see there's a couple in Lansing. There's one in East Lansing and one in South Lansing, and a couple of the other places around here. I live on the west side. I would love to participate in one of these. I'm thinking all the things that have been given to us in our life. We're standing here today because we were given life by our biological mother and father. And, we have just been so blessed. We were blessed to live here in the United States. And it's like beyond those measurable things, beyond those things you can kind of tag, we have really been so supported to meet our every need and desire, our need for joy, our need for love. Hopefully I fulfilled your need for laughter this morning with the chapstick story. Harmony, knowledge. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom and all else will come unto you. And I say, the law of giving and receiving, seek first the very highest and best things for others, and all else is added unto you. Flow of life, exchange of energy. It's a process. And how many times have you received something just out of the blue, not because you earned it, because the universe is conspiring to support you, to keep you in the flow, to keep you enjoying, to keep you living in the most wonderful, joyful, harmonious ways that you can possibly be. So I'd really encourage you this week, spend a week as a giver, giving other people the very thing you need in your life. Anytime you go someplace or meet somebody, a compliment, a smile, a silent blessing. But at the same time, commit to be open to receive. When that person opens the door, accept it gratefully. Don't worry that they think you're old and need the door open for you. Receive the compliment with joy. Receive the prayer. Our prayer team is praying for you. Every day, there is somebody praying for you. So that's the act of circulating joy, really our true wealth. And with that, we're going to go into a time of meditation. Just invite you to take a deep breath. Be part of that flow as we inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Right now, we are practicing giving and receiving. We give forth our used breath, that it feeds the trees. And we take in that fresh breath that the trees produce for us. And so we dance that wonderful cycle of life without fear of lack, without a sense of duty that we need to exhale to give to the tree because it's expected. But we do this simple, glorious act of breathing simply because we are in the flow. And as we breathe, know that we are sharing this breath with every human who has ever walked this planet, with every animal that has ever existed or exists today, with every plant, those that have grown and died, those that have been harvested to feed us. We have shared in this wonderful flow of giving and receiving. We feel the effortlessness of it. As we allow that feeling to move through our entire body, we feel that tingling in our arms and hands, our feet, our legs, that quickening of spirit for recognizing that we are in the divine process. A dynamic exchange that operates at a perfect pace. Perhaps not our schedule, but in the rhythm of the infinite. As we participate in this blessed act of giving and receiving, we find absolutely no resistance, no judgment. There's just a deep sense of joy and harmony. There is no worry. There is no discomfort. We are free in our ability to participate. And as we take this feeling, we allow it to expand to that very state of mind that we most desire in our life in this moment. Are we seeking more love, more joy, more harmony, more peace? We take the truth that we feel in this moment with breath and imbue it into that very thing that we seek, so that we may be guided to give that very state, that very vibration to others, co-creating and sending out, raising not only the expectation but the experience of life, of oneness, of interrelatedness, to its true level of ease of flow, not the relative opposites of pulling and tugging, but the absolute qualities of no separation, of life as life in infinite forms, as joy in a variety of experiences, of compassion for hearts that express in many different ways. Let us take just a moment to be the flow in the silence. As we continue with our breath, we remember that what ours to do is simply to keep the Zen and try again. For we are blessed and we are a blessing. And so it is. Amen. And with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Jeff, who's got a great song about giving and receiving. So I'm in the flow with you. Take it away.
Thank you. endless waves in time and space, but the world is ours. Give and take, we bend and break till we reach the stars. Don't hold back now. I'll fill your hands when they're out. Love is gonna find you, find you. If you feel shattered, lost, and broken, that's when you need your heart wide open. Love is gonna find you, guide you. You gotta share the gifts you're holding. Don't be afraid of when you're going. Just believe. The more you give, the more you will receive. It's a brand new day. Never look away, and we'll rise somehow. Look into these eyes with this hope inside. No, we can't fall down. Don't hold back now. I'll fill your hands when they're out. Love is gonna find you, find you. If you feel shattered, lost, and broken, that's when you need your heart wide open. Love is gonna find you, guide you. You gotta share the gifts you're holding. Don't be afraid of where you're going. Just believe. The more you give, the more you will receive. Only you control the power in your soul. And all your inhibitions, let them go. Everyone deserves a chance, and we hold them in our hands. Let's make miracles, miracles. Love is gonna find you, find you. If you feel shattered, lost, and broken, that's when you need your heart wide open. Love is gonna find you, guide you. You gotta share the gifts you're holding. Don't be afraid of where you're going. Just believe. The more you give, the more you will receive. The more you give, the more you will receive.
Thank you, Jeff. What a great song to lead us into our prosperity celebration. Now is the time we celebrate our abundance, both as a community and for each of us individually. We acknowledge that God is our source of supply, which flows to us through many channels. You and I, as part of the Unity community, have the necessary resources to meet each demand that arises as we modify our new home to meet safety and zoning codes, as well as making a spiritual home that serves our community needs. It is a joy to celebrate our prosperity as we continue to prepare our building to fulfill its destiny. Allow the words of celebration I speak to be the words of your own heart. We join efforts in thought, prayer, and action to bless our earthly abundance, to meet all the needs of our spiritual home, even as our supply meets and exceeds our personal needs. We bless the gifts that we have been given and the gifts we are about to receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you to each of you who continue to do so generously support this ministry during this extraordinary time. We are very grateful for the love offerings this ministry has received from all of the members of this community, both online and through mail. We are a tithing congregation, and it's with added celebration that we tithe our abundance with others. Our congregants' choice for the second quarter of this year is the Greater Lansing Food Bank. They continue to do such a remarkable job responding to huge demands during this pandemic. We thank them for their selfless work and know that our gift will go forth to do great things. We give thanks for the gifts that have blessed our Unity community, as well as celebrating the gifts that have blessed our lives personally. We get to practice that spiritual activity of giving and receiving in our day-to-day experience by acknowledging our countless blessings. Whatever we have been blessed with this week, let us take a moment to express our deep appreciation for the love, the kindness, the support, and the thoughtfulness as we affirm, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Now let us join together in our closing song, I Choose Love, followed by the prayer for protection.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace on our planet, growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We are part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us. Could this be the one? I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Happy Mother's Day. Oh, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God is within us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Little outro music there, boys. Thank you, Casey.